In this video, we're talking about the top 5 ways to boost your credit score fast. So let's jump right into it. The first way to boost your credit score quickly is for people who already have at least one credit card. Don't worry, there's also going to be a lot of tips here for people who don't have any cards yet. So the tip is that you need to make sure that you're paying down your credit card bill before it comes due so that you'll have a low credit utilization rate. Credit utilization makes up 30% of your credit score, so this is a very important category. Let's say that you have a $500 credit limit and you put $300 on the card. You're going to have a 60% utilization rate, and that's really going to hold back your credit score because that number should be as low as possible, ideally below 10%. This can sometimes be a bit of a catch-22 situation because if you have a low credit score, you're most likely going to have secured credit cards or non-secure credit cards but a very low credit limit, and having that low credit limit, if you're not careful, can make it very easy to have high credit utilization, and that is going to make it hard or impossible to boost your credit score up to where you want it to be. Let's say that you make that $300 purchase, but then you pay $275 once the bill posts to your account. Then you're only going to have a $25 balance, which will be 5%, and that's very good. Now, you still do want to pay off that $25 when your bill comes due, even though you've already met the minimum payment, because you don't want to end up carrying a balance and having to pay interest. That's not related to your credit score, but it's just a general thing that you don't want to wind up paying interest to the credit card companies. And that brings us up to tip number 2. You should set up autopay. On-time payments are the single most important factor in your credit score, and that's going to be 35% of your score. You want to make sure that you're at least making the minimum payments each month on all of your cards to avoid later missed payments showing up on your credit report. Even if you have a credit score of 850, which is the maximum, if you missed a payment, your credit score would start dropping very quickly. With autopay, you do have to be careful because if you try to pay from an account that doesn't have enough money in it, that can lead to potentially a financial review or an account shutdown where the bank might get nervous, think you don't have money to pay, and then close down all of your accounts, maybe without even asking any questions. So if you're someone who lives paycheck to paycheck, you should set your autopay to the monthly minimum instead and then manually pay off as much as you can while making sure that you have enough money for the next month's rent and all of the other expenses that you need next month. If you have a missed or late payment in your history and you have multiple credit cards, one thing that you can do to help dilute the effect of that missed or late payment is to make a monthly donation of $1 to some charity each month, or you could just buy something from whatever random store each month on each card, pay it in full, and that will over time dilute the effect of that missed or late payment because you're having a lot of on-time payments on your cards. Tip number 3 is going to be to use a credit builder loan. Now, this doesn't require you to have any credit cards, and I think it's a good alternative to putting down hundreds of dollars as a deposit in order to get a secured credit card. The way that it works is that you pay a small payment each month, which counts as loan payments, and then at the end of the loan term, which is usually 1 to 2 years, you get most of these monthly payments back as a lump sum. Along the way, you're building up your credit score each month by making these on-time payments. This also helps your credit score if you don't have any other loans, because 10% of your score is based on your credit mix, which means the different types of credit that you have. So for example, credit cards, a home loan, an auto loan, things like that. So those are different types of credit, and you do get a bonus to your score, so to speak, by having a good mix of credit types. The company that I'd recommend for a credit builder loan is called Self. You can choose to pay $25 a month for 24 months, plus a one-time $9 administrative fee, and that's going to be a total of $609 over the course of those 24 months, but you will get back $520. That means that you've essentially paid over the course of 2 years $89 to boost your credit score, and that does work out to be about $3.71 per month. And that's one of the problems with a secured credit card. You do have to put down money for your deposit, and that's usually $200 to $500. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck, then you might have to save up for months in order to get that deposit. And a lot of people really don't like the idea of putting down $500, let's say, just to be able to use a credit card and to be able to borrow $500. With a credit builder loan, instead of taking a few months potentially to save up for the deposit, you can use that time to be building up your score right away. If you are interested in Self, then I have a referral link down below that you can use, which will help the channel out. Tip number 4 is to become an authorized user on someone else's credit card. Now, the way that this works is that your friend or family member adds you to one of their credit cards as an authorized user, and that card is now going to start counting on your credit report. This can be a double-edged sword, because if the person who adds you as an authorized user misses a payment, or if they have a high credit utilization, that's going to show up on your credit report and it will hurt your score. So you do need to make sure that the person who's adding you as an authorized user is making all of their payments on time and that they have a low credit utilization on that card, which should be under 10%. When you become an authorized user, that's not going to hurt the other person's credit score at all. So if you have, let's say, a credit score of 400 and your friend has a credit score of 800 and they make you an authorized user, it can help your credit score, but it's not going to drag down their credit score. One other thing to note is that the person who makes you an authorized user doesn't actually have to give you a credit card or let you know what the credit card number is, but if they do, then obviously there's a trust element involved. Because if they do give you a card, then the bill for anything that you charge on that card is going to go to that person who added you as an authorized user. But when everything works out, this can be a very fast way to build up your credit score. But one of the things that you do need to be careful of is to make sure that you pick somebody who is actually a close friend or family member. You're not allowed to pay somebody to become an authorized user on their card, and if the bank gets suspicious that someone is doing this, then they are allowed to shut down the account of the person that's doing that, maybe your account as well. And if they decide to do that, there's really not much that you can do about that because they don't allow you to do that, and you really need to follow their rules. And now we have tip number 5, which is to use Experian Boost. This is a free service offered by Experian, which is one of the 3 big credit reporting bureaus in the US, along with TransUnion and Equifax. You can set up Experian Boost for free, and the way that it works is that it looks for utility bills, which are usually paid through your bank account, and those bills now get reported on your Experian credit report. For about 2/3 of people, they see an immediate boost to their scores. This could be a few points, or it could be 10 or 15 or 20 or more points in some instances. There's also a possibility that it could lower your score, but if that does happen, you can just turn off Experian Boost, which is also for free, and there's really no downside. This tip is somewhat marginal compared to the others, only because it's only affecting Experian and not the other 2 credit bureaus, but helping any one of the 3 credit report scores does help you overall because a lot of places will take all 3 and then they might take the one in the middle, and so if you move Experian up a bit, that can end up helping you out in that way. For more tips, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, and if you use the link to self or the link to the credit cards below, you'll be helping to support this channel. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.